Welcome back. Every parent's worst fear is something happening to one of their children. Christy Beckner is an STC teacher at Evans Middle School, and 5 years ago, her world stopped spinning. Her son Mitchell was diagnosed with brain cancer. With treatment and therapy, Mitchell is currently in remission. We welcome Christy and Mitchell to the show to tell us more about their story. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Mitchell, for being here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? What do you do as an STC teacher?
The STC is a structured teach classroom, and it's mainly autistic children that are in there.
Okay.
And we just work on helping them meet goals, academic and social goals.
Cool. And what about you, Mitchell? What grade are you in right now?
7th.
7th grade? What middle school do you go to?
Scott Johnson.
Scott Johnson. And how are you liking middle school?
Pretty hard.
Pretty hard? Pretty different than elementary school, right? I always remembered my big thing was in elementary school you only had like 1 or 2 teachers, and then you go into middle school and suddenly you have a million teachers and you got to go this way and that way across the school. It's kind of overwhelming.
A little confusing.
Yeah, a little confusing, especially when you start going to Boyd. It's like a quarter of a mile long, so a little more confusing. So your son Mitchell was diagnosed with cancer in 2008. How difficult was that for you and your family to deal with?
Basically, it changed our whole world. He had been having some issues off and on, being sick with different things, and we had gone to different specialists trying to figure out what it was, and but we were not expecting it to be cancer.
Yeah. And what were some of the things that were going through your mind when you first found out that it was cancer?
Not our child.
Yeah.
And how are we going to make it through this? And are we going to be okay? Or, you know, at the end of this journey, is he going to be with us? Or, you know, we were scared.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense, obviously. Your son was at Eddins at the time, and how did it affect his schoolwork? What happened with having to do all his work there? Did you keep up with your homework, or what happened with all that?
I didn't really know how to do it.
Right.
Because I was like a baby again.
Right. So that whole process kind of pushed him back a little bit?
Yes, he ended up missing about a year, anywhere from a year to a year and a half of school.
Okay.
While he was on treatment, and then during treatment, you know, he would get sick, and when his blood counts were low, he couldn't go to school, couldn't be around other kids,
Right.
and so he missed about a year to year and a half total.
And so now, is he caught back up to speed?
He's not.
Okay.
He's about 2 grade levels below,
Gotcha.
maybe a little more.
Okay.
He is in the FAC classroom
Okay.
now, and before the surgery and the cancer, he was academically he was on grade level.
Gotcha. But, I mean, it's great that you're able to be back in the school environment with your friends and being able to pick up schoolwork and stuff. You know, I mean, eventually you'll catch right back up and it'll be as if nothing ever happened, right? So that's pretty awesome. So how did the diagnosis affect your family life? What kind of changes did you have to make to just like everyday things and big things, like all that?
You know, you really don't realize how, that sounds bad, but how dirty things are that you think are clean, that you have to really be aware of when you have a child who will get sick at the drop of a hat because their immune system is low. So, you know, we just had to be very careful. We couldn't go out as much as we used to. He had to stay away from people. Our social life kind of lacked. You know, we couldn't be around our friends that had kids because we couldn't let him get sick, or it was automatic hospital visits.
Right.
So, you know, socially it affected us as well as him.
Right. So what kind of things did you, Mitchell, have to like deal with? So what was going through your mind the whole time that this was happening? Just
Nothing really.
Lots, I guess lots of stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So were you still able to be in contact with your friends at all? Did they ever call you on the phone, or did Did you get like any letters and stuff like that?
Yes.
Yeah?
I got like 100 letters.
100 letters? I guess that was a little overwhelming to read, huh? Yeah, a little bit. But that's, I mean, it's good that you had so much support from your community, right? Shows that a lot of people care about you. And how many years has your son been cancer-free now?
4.5, almost 5.
Wow, that's wonderful. And what kind of stuff is he doing now? What kind of treatments? Is it just kind of like annual checkups, or what happens?
Right now, he goes every 6 months. He still does routine MRIs.
Okay.
We started every 3 months. Now we've moved to every 6 months, and eventually, in a couple years, we'll move to yearly.
Cool.
But he does have to go get MRIs of his brain and his spine every year, and every 6 months. And he also has an endocrinologist now. He has some issues with his pituitary gland that, so we see a couple of doctors every 3 to 6 months.
Gotcha. But I'm sure that's quite a relief from.
Yes.
I'm sure it was like an everyday kind of thing.
Yes, from what we were doing 3 years ago. Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's great that like now you've been cancer free for so many years. I guess the treatment really helps out and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And family support is always good too. Speaking of remission, what do you think was the key to your son's remission?
First of all, we had a great group of oncologists that, helped, obviously, the doctors, and then friends, family, our church.
Great.
Just the support from everybody is what, helped us get through.
Right. How long was your son in treatment?
2 years.
2 years?
Mm-hmm.
And what was the news like when you finally found out that he was going into remission and that he was going to be cancer-free?
Oh, gosh, we were relieved. We had a big party.
That's great, yeah.
Yeah, big party with a cake and
Yeah.
no more chemo cake.
Nice, yeah. Were you pretty excited when you found out that you didn't have to take chemotherapy anymore and that you were cancer-free?
Yes.
Yeah. Were you pretty excited that you could like hang out with your friends and all that kind of stuff again?
Yes.
Yeah. Pretty awesome. That's good. And what, as a family and as an individual, have you learned from this whole experience?
That's a hard question.
Yeah. Kind of a loaded question.
Yeah, parents are always close with their children, but I think when you have a child that goes through something like this, it's a different level. I mean, parents care about their kids, but you always want to do what's best for them, but it's just when they go through something like this, it's always more intense, and so we've definitely, as a family, gotten closer. So I think he, maybe a little spoiled.
Yeah.
He's an only
Right.
child, so
Oh, okay.
and only child and went through cancer. So
Right. I'm sure the bond is much greater.
Yes.
Yeah. And what kind of advice do you have for parents, students, faculty? I mean, anyone in MISD or just in your community to battle cancer? Like tips.
Do you want to answer that?
We had a lot.
Like just a lot of
Yeah.
support and stuff like that? Good. Yeah, I'm sure support helps a lot.
Yeah, just the support is the biggest thing. And I'm sure you've heard this said before, but when you go through something like this, you really find out who your friends are and aren't, who your supporters are and who they aren't. And, the support was the biggest thing. And if you know someone who's going through cancer or a child that's going through cancer, just make yourself available, and, any little help is awesome.
Was there someone like really special that really helped you guys a lot, who made like the biggest difference, either in MISD or family, friends, or something like that?
Well, I think that Mitchell and I would have two different answers, but as a parent, I ended up meeting another mom whose son had gone through it, and he was about 6 months ahead of where we were. Mm-hmm. And so I was always talking to her, is this normal? You know, well, he's acting like this. He's running a fever. He's doing this. Is it supposed to be like this? And so, having someone who's been through it was a big help. What about you?
Did you have a best friend or a teacher or maybe a family member that was really, really there for you the whole time?
I say one of our preachers from church.
Cool. What's his name?
I can't remember.
Okay.
Mr. Dennis.
Mr. Dennis. And was he there for you like the whole time and really giving you support, all that kind of stuff?
Yes, he brought me like little coloring books.
That's good. Yeah, well, it's always wonderful to have someone there to help you out, especially from a church or from a community setting, because those kind of people stay with you for a really long time. So that's good. And what kind of things did MISD do to help your experience? Just helping out with the whole cancer treatment and all that kind of stuff.
Can you answer that?
No.
Really have much.
Well, at the time, we were at Edens Elementary, and the principal at the time was Melanie Raleigh.
Mm-hmm.
And the first day back, he had been off for, I would say, about 4 or 5 months. He had been off, and his first day back, of course, he was bald, and so she made it hat day for the whole school.
Cool.
And then the second day back, she made it, what was the second day?
Crazy hair day?
Crazy hair day was the second day back.
Awesome.
And just, little things like that made it easier for him to go back to school.
Right.
And then the great support from some of his teachers. He had a few that he really liked that helped him get through.
Yeah.
So
did you go straight back to Edens Elementary when you finished? Or what elementary school did you go to?
I was still at Edens.
Edens? And then from there you went to Scott Johnson, right?
Yes.
Cool. So do you have any teachers at Scott Johnson that have helped you out too, that you really like?
No, not really.
Who's your teacher right now?
Mr. Stevens.
Mr. Stevens? Is he pretty cool? Does he help you out with a lot of stuff?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I always found that if you have like a really special teacher, you actually get a really close bond with them. So I go visit a lot of my old teachers at Dowell, like one of my favorite English teachers, Miss Dooley at Dowell. I go visit her all the time, and some teachers you really make a really special bond with. So hopefully you have someone like that you can come back years later. And what kind of stuff has, since September is Cancer Awareness Month, have there been any special events that you've attended or special things that have been done for Mitchell? What kind of stuff?
Normally, well, gold is the color. I have a ribbon. Gold is the color for childhood cancer awareness, and it's not as well known as breast cancer awareness is. And I know that it's starting to become a little more aware. There's a Brain Tumor Foundation walk that we do, which is kind of like the Relay for Life. You raise money. We do the Relay for Life also, but the Brain Cancer Foundation does specifically for brain tumors.
Oh, cool.
So there's little things like that, and I think slowly it's becoming more well known.
Yeah.
But we're hoping it'll become more aware. People will become more aware of it, just like breast cancer.
Yeah, because support for all kinds of things is important. Everyone has something, right? So you need support for everything. All right, well, thank you guys very much for coming in, and that's it for today's show. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time in the studio, Studio M, your McKinney ISD talk show.